Hey everybody, it's Marshall here, and this is going to be my Deadpool movie review. And I think we can all agree that Ryan Reynolds' performance as Wade Wilson / Deadpool was phenomenal. Yeah, we're going to get into this review. It was amazing. I loved seeing it. And if you guys haven't seen it, there's a video that I made called I'm Ready. It is my bonus video talking about how I was going to go see the film. If you guys want to see that, just click right there. You can watch that film. Or, not film, you can watch that video. But anyway, yeah, we're going to get into this movie review. I'm gonna probably not do too many edits in this film, in this video because there's just so much going on today for me leaving out of town. But we're gonna get into this review, so let's get started. This movie was amazing. Very great movie, very great castings, very great jokes, very great performances from all of them. And I think that even the small roles, because I feel like some of the roles were very smaller than others, but they still were very good because they made the most of their roles, which is really interesting. But we're going to talk about it, so let's get started. So, careful for spoilers, because I am going to be doing a spoiler alert. I'm going to be doing some spoilers in this video. I'm going to try to not put any spoilers in my general review, and then I'm going to do my highlights and stuff like that. So let's get started. So, I think we're probably going to talk about the overall thing real quick. It was a really good movie. I think that it's really good. The only problem is that they didn't have a big budget. That was the problem, because we saw the opening sequence. Incredible. The opening action sequence. There is an opening action sequence, and we saw it was incredible, but I think that used a lot of the budget. In terms of action sequences, like fighting, combat, not like what we saw at the end of the film, which I'm going to hold out until we get to my highlights. But it was really good. That's just the only problem. I think that if the budget was bigger, they would have been able to do even more, which is what we want. We want more, which is, Fox has greenlit the sequel, so we're getting more, so hopefully they'll put a bigger budget into that. But overall, it was really good seeing the action sequences. They were really creative, really fun, and just put a lot of humor into it. It was amazing, but it was really good. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds, for being the comedian that you are. But it was really good. Now let's talk about performance-wise. Ryan Reynolds killed it. He was born to play Deadpool, and that's just a fact. You can't take that away. He was born to play Deadpool. It's happening, and I think he's going to play Deadpool for as long as he, wants to play the character, which is probably going to be forever, because he's just in love with this character. He's been waiting 11 years to make this movie, and now it's finally done, and now it's finally out for people to go see. Now, I think there was some things that were unnecessary for the movie. I think it was just fan service, basically. I think that's what they were trying to do. Obviously, the movie wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for the fans over the test footage that was leaked about 2 years ago? Last year? I can't even remember when it was leaked, but that's the reason why this movie was made in the first place. So I think a lot of the unnecessary things that I thought weren't necessary for the film were in it because of fan service, and that kind of makes sense if you guys know what I'm talking about, but yeah, but it was still pretty good. It was still really good to see that they listened to the fans and did the fan service, which is really cool. But overall, the movie is just a love letter to fans. Like, the costume is very realized. It's basically probably the best costume adaptation from the comics I've seen in any comic book film. Like, you see things like Batman v Superman, or I guess all the Marvel films with their, suits, costumes, whatever you want to call them. But I think Deadpool is the best comic to movie adaptation of a suit or a costume in a comic book ever. And that just not speaking for just the suit, but for the whole film. I think that it was just ripped right out of the comic books, put into movie form. There are a few things that are different, kind of how we found the name Deadpool. That was a little different, but they kind of had to adjust that for the film. I can get that. Another problem that I had with the movie was that the origin. Now, I like origin stories in movies, but now I'm getting very tired of them. Everybody is. Like, we've seen so many comic book films, and they retell origins, or do an origin, and it just takes forever. And how they did the origin here is that this is kind of a little spoiler, but not really. So I guess if you don't want to hear this, turn away. But they did it back and forth. They did, Deadpool, then flashback, then Deadpool, then flashback. And it really felt like Ryan Reynolds was playing two different people. Like, he was playing Wade Wilson, he was playing Deadpool. Because he does feel like two people in these flashbacks to flash forward, scenes. And I really like that. It was really cool. And that just shows you how much range Ryan Reynolds has as an actor, and that he proved in this film that he was meant to play this character forever. So that kind of proves that. But it was really kind of exhausting at the end of the origin when they finally caught up to the moment where they were in the present day. It just kind of left me drained. It was kind of like, that was just a lot to go through. Like, we had to go through this whole origin. And me knowing the origin of Deadpool before I walked in the film made it even worse. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the comic book character, and you don't know the origin, it might feel different for you because you've just gone in to see the film and you've never seen the origin in the comics, so it might feel different to you. But for me, it was just I felt so drained after watching the whole origin because I already knew what was going to happen, and the trailers even showed you what was going to happen. So it was kind of like, it was kind of draining to see. Of course, it makes up for it in performance-wise because we got to see a lot of Miranda Bachman in the flashbacks, which was really cool. Let's speak of Miranda Bachman, by the way. She played Vanessa Carlyle, and in the comics she's Copycat. I was really disappointed when they didn't live up to that. Copycat's a big character. She's kind of like Mystique, only her shapeshifter powers include powers, like actual abilities of other mutants or people that have, powers like that. And it extends to that. But they didn't do that in the film. They kind of just let it down. They didn't even tease it. I thought they would at least tease it maybe for a sequel or something. And when, and this is going to be another spoiler, when she was up on the helicarrier, it seems, I'm going to talk about that in a second. When she was up there in the oxygen machine that Wade Wilson was put into, I thought that she was going to get injected and become a mutant, or maybe like get side effects and like in the sequel address that, maybe. I have no idea. But they didn't do that either, so I kind of felt like she was just servicing the story for Wade Wilson, and I don't like that because Miranda Bachman was fantastic in this movie. I love her on Gotham, but she was way better in this film because she got to play around with a role that we haven't seen her quite do yet. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not really familiar with everything that she's done. But we got to see her in a really cool character, and I really liked that. But they didn't live up to that. Like, they didn't make her, they didn't even tease Copycat, which I was kind of upset about, because she's a really cool character, but we didn't get anything. Like, she has the blue hair, or the blue skin in the comics, the white hair, all the, like, awesome stuff, and we didn't get to see that at all. But it's, like, not bad, because it was still a good, movie, but they could have teased it. Now, talking about some of the other characters, we got Ed Skrein and Gina Carano. They played, Ajax, or Francis, however you want to look at it, Francis and Angel Dust, and they did fantastic. Now, Gina Carano, not a very good actress like in other things, but she was really good for this role. I feel like she was really good when she did the action sequences with Colossus. I really liked that, and we're going to talk about Colossus in a second. I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. Ed Skrein did a fantastic job as Ajax. He was amazing. He was a very menacing villain, and I would, even though he's dead, that's kind of sad that he died in the end. Spoiler. Like I said, there was going to be spoilers throughout this video. But even though he's dead, it's sad to see that he's not going to be back. I really thought that would be cool if, they kept him on for a little longer, because I just loved watching them, and I'd love to watch him in other things. But they were really good also. T.J. Miller as Weasel, fantastic. He's much as a comedian just as Ryan Reynolds, so I was glad that they had, like, two comedians, because T.J. Miller's kind of funny too. And he had some really cool jokes. Blind Owl, I don't know how I felt about her. She was okay. I felt like she was servicing the story a little bit too. But that's okay, because she wasn't that big of a character anyway. Yeah. Now, talking about Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead a little bit, I loved them. They were just so much fun. Like, in the X-Men thing, we got to actually see Xavier's school, so that was really cool. And, we got to see, what the X-Men that I want to see. Because I don't like the fact that they just introduced Deadpool, and they just showed us these two X-Men, but we're not following up on that because they're doing Apocalypse. And I don't like that, because I feel like, what's the point? Because Jennifer Lawrence, her heart's not in the, a Mystique character anymore. And I feel like it's going to be good, and we're going to see a lot of new X-Men characters. But why not just continue where we're leaving off with Deadpool and see that X-Men, rather than going back in time and seeing the old X-Men and what they're doing right now? I thought that was kind of weird that we're not going to ever see them until they maybe show up in the X-Men sequel. I don't think they will, but it's possible. But that's just another thing that I didn't like about it, is that we're going to have to wait to see that X-Men again. But it was really cool to see them. And Colossus, I didn't feel like he was too much of a big character. I mean, I didn't like Colossus in X2 and Days of Future Past. I didn't like him that much there, their version of Colossus. But he was really cool here. I liked what they did with him here. Still wasn't above and beyond what we got, what we see with Colossus in the comics, but it was still really cool. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she was amazing. I really liked the vibes that she gave off with Deadpool, like when they were joking about the whole teenage thing. That was really cool. I think that she's not a big character in the comics, so I'm glad that they used her in this film, because I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I wouldn't use another character. I really like her in this movie, and she was really cool. She was hilarious, so I really liked having her there. Her powers are changed from the comics. I think she saw the future in the comics too, but so they kind of changed her a little bit, but that's not big of a deal. I mean, she's not a big character anyway, so I'm glad that they used her and did that. So yeah, all the characters pretty much are really great. I really like all the characters, and the performances are spot on. Like, every character, every person that was casted was perfect, and I wouldn't have it another way. So it was really cool. Let's get into highlights now. We're going to talk about highlights. I think that the opening credits were hilarious. Everyone pretty much laughed at all of it. The Easter eggs, apparently there are over 100 Easter eggs in this film. I'm not a big Marvel person, I'm not a big Deadpool person either, so I wouldn't know any of the Easter eggs if I did see one, except for the obvious ones. The Hugh Jackman mask, the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern picture that we saw in the opening sequence, the Ryan Reynolds magazine that we saw in the opening sequence. But, you know, it was those obvious ones you can probably spot, but the ones that are like a little bit more hidden and that are about the extended Deadpool, you know, in the comics and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't know them if I saw them. But it was really cool to see those. But anyway, yeah, the opening title sequence was incredible. That was one of my favorite parts of the whole film. Just the opening title sequence. That was amazing. And the opening action sequence as well. Like, that was just so creative with the bullets and everything. That was just so creative and fun. And him counting down, I thought that was hilarious. But it was really cool. And basically, the movie doesn't really take itself seriously, which is what I like about it. Like, they make jokes about Fox, they make jokes about, you know, Ryan Reynolds, and I think that that's what makes the film so fun. You're wanting to think about fun. PG-13 fun would be Ant-Man. I think that would be PG-13 fun, because it was just so fun seeing them in the ants and the kind of the action that they had with him on the guns and flipping around and all that stuff in the movie. That was really fun. This is rated R fun, and a lot of people were debating whether or not they should have done a PG-13 Deadpool. I don't think so. I don't think it would have worked, just because of the fans. I think the fans would be really upset with it, because that's not who Deadpool is. That's not what he stands for. So I think that's why they did rated R. And a lot of people are wanting petitions to make it PG-13 or release a PG-13 cut of the film. Let me just tell you right now, it's not going to happen. I think they're not going to do that, because it's an open package, and they've been waiting 11 years to make this movie. Ryan Reynolds has been waiting to make this movie. It's an open package deal. Take it or leave it. That's what I'd have to say. You either go see it and, you know, deal with it, or you don't. And that's what I had to do, was I had to decide whether or not I'm going to see this for what it is, or just not see it at all. That's what you have to do, and that's what I made my video I'm Ready about. You guys can go see that. Like I said, it's in the links up there, or you can go back and click on it where I told you to. But anyway, yeah, so I'd say that's why, you know, it's rated R. And I think that I like that about it, too. But anything else I have to say? Yeah, the end credit scenes, I'm going to get into that in a second. I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it was about. Well, I guess I forgot. But anyway, it was a really good movie. I think I really liked it. It was pretty cool. Like I said, a bigger budget would have been better, because, you know, they didn't have too much of the Deadpool fighting and flipping around and kicking around. I think that would have been really cool. Oh yeah, the unnecessary things. That was what I was going to say about the rated R stuff. Gore, on a level of that, I think it wasn't that bad. I think it, like those movies that I've heard are worse, because I actually was really worried seeing it, and then I got in there and I was like, what was I worried about? Because it's not really that bad. Other things about the film that were really unnecessary, just like the some scenes, you know, I don't know, it's just some of the scenes were a little bit unnecessary. Like, I feel like they could have filled it in with more action, or a little bit more of a story thing. Like, you know, just the club scene, that wasn't necessary. We got a Stan Lee cameo, which is really interesting. I really liked seeing him, but a lot of things in the club scene wasn't really necessary, in terms of, you know, things like that. But, and the gore, it was a 50-50. I thought that was, you know, it was just there, and I didn't really mind that. Jokes, in terms of jokes, I'd say there are pretty hardcore jokes in there, and they're pretty old jokes. Like, if you like about an old film or an old person or something like that, you know, back in the day. Ryan Reynolds makes a lot of jokes about back in the day films and things like that in the movie. But yeah, there was a little bit of jokes that were unnecessary too. I really loved the baby hand joke. That was hilarious. It's like when he had the baby hand, that was amazing. But other than that, yeah, I didn't think there was a lot of things that weren't necessary, that they could have filled in other things, other exciting things, like more Vanessa Carlyle in the club scene, or, you know, things like that. It was just really cool. And there was a lot of heartfelt moments, like when he was in the Weapon X program, and, you know, Ajax put him in the machine and made him look like he did with the cancer cells. That was really heartfelt. And I was actually kind of disappointed, too, because, you know, we didn't see the crazy side of Deadpool. Sure, we had the jokes and the action, but we didn't see the crazy side. Because when he's in the Weapon X program, it also affects his brain cells, so I thought we didn't get too much of that either. But that's okay. Not that big of a deal. Yeah, let's talk about the end credit scenes now. So you saw my highlights, you saw my overall thoughts. Now the end credit scenes. Loved the Ferris Bueller end credit scene. That was amazing. I really loved that. I think it was kind of weird seeing it. Like, it was kind of like they were just kind of taking inspiration from it, but it was weird. But I loved when he says, "You're still here. Go home. It's over." I thought that was hilarious. Then it started rolling, it started rolling again, like the end of the movie, and then it was like, oh wait, Cable's confirmed for the next movie, just telling you. And I knew that was going to come because they greenlit the sequel so early, so I knew it was bound to be Cable that was going to be in the sequel. So I'm really excited for that as well. Also, they made the joke about Keira Knightley having so much acting range that she could play Cable. I thought that was hilarious. I really laughed at that one too. But yeah, it was overall was a really good film, and I'm excited for the sequel. I'm excited for Cable, so that's going to be really fun too. And Ryan Reynolds is just going to have so much fun in the sequel too. He had so much fun in this one, he's going to have fun in the next one. But what did you guys think of it? Comment down below. What was your favorite highlight? And the helicarrier as well. I said I would talk about that. I think that they're just making subtle hints to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because maybe one day they could cross over. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Obviously, the X-Men, Sony's Spider-Man is a little bit easier of a deal to make rather than the whole X-Men universe. I think that's a little bit of a big step. So I think maybe in like 5 or 6 years we'll probably get that. Maybe. Possibility. But I think they're just trying to lay the seeds down for if it did actually happen. But again, what did you guys think of the film? What was your highlights? Comment down below. Links up there to my other movie reviews. Links on there to my Twitter, Instagram, Vine, vlog channel, and Sims channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe those. Like and this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Is your brain on IMAX? Bigger is better, right? Hear the music.